and Jill on the mic. It's about to get real. Keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined by Nick Pretzel on our mini-series here. We are doing today the My Guy episode for the upcoming 2026 NFL draft, talking about players that we really like in this upcoming draft class. How you doing this morning, Nick?
I'm doing wonderful, James. This is the one that I'm probably the most excited for because we get to talk about the guys that we really are high on. I know I've alluded to some of that a bit in some of our mock drafts, which if you have not caught, by the way, go check out the podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a 5-star review on there, you just might make this guy very happy. So go give us a look. And we were on all the social medias I just mentioned. So if you're a Steelers fan or just a fan of NFL mock drafts and NFL draft topics and conversation, go give us a follow. We'll be covering this for the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. So also, if you want us to cover something that we haven't covered yet, throw it out there. We might just make an extra special show for you. So we just wrapped up our Sleepers episode. We're talking about my guys this morning. Who is the first guy you're planting a flag for in this year's NFL draft class?
The first hill I'd be willing to die on of a player that I'd like to draft and like to see Pittsburgh Steelers bring in is a guy that's kind of been rising, and I wanted to put him in the sleeper episode, but felt like I really couldn't because of how much I've seen talk about him. But it's wide receiver Tyron Montgomery. I believe he's out of John Carroll University. I do not have a whole lot on him because he wasn't invited to the combine, but he was showing out at the Senior Bowl. He's 5'11", 190, was making some really impressive plays over a lot of the top echelon of the DBs in the Senior Bowl and has really been climbing. He was a late comer to football, actually was originally a basketball prospect at one of his former schools, transitioned to wide receiver, and has that separation that we've been looking for. I know we talked about it in the sleeper episode as well, but was able to really show how he can elude and navigate the defense, create the separation, scheme himself open, which is something that we've been wanting Pittsburgh to have for a little while and kind of need now that we've got all the beef on the line in Metcalf and Pittman. But would love to see Montgomery be able to be brought in. And he's around 4 or 5 guys, so you could prioritize other needs earlier in the draft, which we'll talk about in the next episode we'll be doing. But really don't have to worry about addressing receiver as early if you can get a guy like this in round 4 or 5.
Absolutely. And you're right. He was turning heads in that bowl game. They were talking about him being the practice player of the week and just really separating himself from the talented other wide receivers there that day. And just kind of came out of nowhere. People didn't really know his name before that process, but really turning heads afterwards. So I don't blame you on that one. My first one, I'm going to go with the biggest name out of my group here. And it's a guy that you don't necessarily say Pittsburgh needs this position, but the raw talent that I've seen from this guy and his ability to move is just unique. Max Iheanacho out of Arizona State. He's an offensive tackle. He's only been playing professional football for 2 years. Very new to professional football. If you watched him in the one-on-one drills at the Senior Bowl, you would have thought he'd been playing football for at least 10 years or more. His agility and lateral quickness to move with someone who's trying to beat him as a pass blocker. And those one-on-one drills are geared towards the defensive player winning. They have every advantage, and nobody beat him all week long in those drills. He came into the combine at 6'5" and 7/8, so almost 6'6", 321 pounds, 33 7/8 inch long arms, so awesome arm length. He ran a 4.9 140-yard dash at 321 pounds. 25 reps on the bench shows that he's been putting the work in, even though he's not the big, bulky dude. He's a body beautiful kind of guy. He doesn't look 320, man. He looks like he's like 280. Very, very lean. And his ability to move is just impressive. I was very, very impressed with this dude. You could do way worse than a guy like him. You might have to work on him a little bit with technique stuff because right now he's winning from raw talent. But his raw talent is like super, super plus side. And I think he could be turned into an elite offensive tackle prospect at the next level. So I would absolutely be ecstatic if Pittsburgh took Max Iheanacho at offensive tackle. Who's your second guy, Nick?
Absolutely, and I'm going to go in the same vein as you here, James. And it's a guy that a lot of people have probably heard the name of and have talked about because he is a first-round talent. I'm not going with Vega Ione, so don't feel as if that's the pick there. However, I am going to go offensive lineman here, and I wanted to stray away from Vega because that's been what I've been doing in most of my mock drafts. When he's there, I want him so bad, I just grab him. But he might not be there for us, and so if that is the case, ideally you're going to still need some young premier talent in this line because you want to keep whoever's going to be at quarterback, whether that's Aaron Rodgers, Will Howard, or a guy you grab in the draft, or Mason Rudolph, upright. So I'm going with Blake Miller, offensive tackle from Clemson. This man is a mammoth of a tackle, has one of the highest ceilings of most of the tackle prospects in this draft here. 300 and do I have that correct? Yes, 317 pounds, 6'7". Arms are 34 and a quarter, which is it's 6'7". You know, Jill's rolling in her. She's not in her grave, but she's rolling in. She's cringing right now. So wherever she is in Ohio, the hands are 30 or 9. I can't speak today, but anyway, hands are 9 3/4 inches long. Ran a 5:04 40-yard dash at 317 pounds, which is still pretty moving. Right. His 10-yard split was 1.75, 32-inch vertical, 9'5" broad jump, and 32 reps on the bench. Blake Miller is one of those guys that you want standing in front of your quarterback as a protector, and is one of those guys that you would not want to run into in a back alley. If you would turn the other way and you would say, no, thank you. So definitely want a mauler like that, a mauler named Miller, as I like to say, on the team. If we can get him, if Vega's not there, run the pick in, don't question it, get that man on your team.
Absolutely. The better your protectors are up front, the more you can efficiently run your offense. So you can't get any argument out of me on a guy like that. My next one might be a familiar name to anyone who watched the championship team last year. Indiana had a fullback / tight end by the name of Riley Nowakowski. Riley came in at 6'2" and 2'8", 250 pounds, 31.5 inch on his arm length, which is not the most impressive in the world, but it's not bad either. A 4.66 40-yard dash means he's pretty quick for a 250-pound man. What I like about this dude is he lined up a lot as a fullback. He lined up a lot as an inline tight end, which means he's already capable of blocking defensive ends and outside linebackers. He did it already at college, and he did it quite effectively. The thing that really turned my head about this guy, not necessarily his blocking, although it's good, is when he caught the ball, he ran like Derrick Henry with the ball. It always took 2 or 3 guys to bring him down. He fought for every extra inch. He fought for every extra yard. And I love that in a tight end. We kind of have that already with Pat Freiermuth, with Darnell Washington. They fight for every extra yard. If you're bringing another tight end onto this team, I would love for it to be a guy who can line up as a fullback, and he's got to have the tenacity to go out and get every single yard available. In the AFC North, it is just hard-nosed, tough football. You got to have tough guys. This is a tough guy who can play multiple positions, fights for extra yards, and will get you those first downs when he needs an inch or two to get it. So I'm planting my flag next to Riley Nowakowski. I'd love to see him in the black and gold. Who's your final my guy for this draft class, Nick?
This should come as no surprise to anyone who watched Cody's mock draft, because I was gushing over my, as I call, the draft crush for the year. It was Darnell Washington a few years back, and this year it's safety Kamari Ramsey out of USC. 6 foot, 202 pounds, 30 5/8 inch arms, 9 1/4 inch on the hands. Can play this nickel corner position as well. Has great speed. Ran a 4.47 40-yard dash with a 1.51 10-yard split. 10 yards on the broad jump, 36-inch vertical, and 16 reps on the bench for a safety that's about 200 pounds, which is just absolutely incredible. And the comp that a lot of people give to him is C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So really a solid safety prospect. We talked numerous times on the show, if you've been listening, and we'll probably talk about it again, about how we should grab a safety in this class. There's just a lot of depth. And if you can get a guy like Ramsey, especially if he falls to about the 3rd round where we've got a decent bit of capital, it's a guy that they call a glue guy. He's always where the ball is. He's always sticking to the wide receiver or whoever he's set to guard, and he's just making the play, knocking the ball out, plays with the physicality that screams Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, you got to love the concept there, right? Pittsburgh has to get younger in the safety room. We've talked about this ad nauseum over and over. We're talking about how they've got to get younger. They've got to get an influence of young talent, and this draft is loaded with good safeties. Got to get one and maybe even two in this draft class. My final guy that I'm going to have in this one is somebody who turned my head. Again, watching Indiana football, I know, big surprise that the national champions are going to have good talent on the team. But running back Kalen Black, and I know we don't really need another running back on the team right now. But if they were to get one, this is a dude that I really like. At 5'8", 208 pounds, he's kind of built like Jaylen Warren. That stocky frame, a really well-built dude, a 4.45 40-yard dash. He's strong. He does not go down easily. Great contact balance, which means when a defender hits him, he keeps his feet and goes and keeps on getting more yards. I thought his vision was excellent in his lateral agility, moving behind the line of scrimmage to find his hole, making people miss at the linebacker level. I was really impressed with every ounce of tape I saw from this guy, and I feel like he would fit the mold perfectly for how we run our offense and just what is successful in the NFL. You don't need to be a tall running back to be effective in the NFL. In fact, being short is kind of an advantage because not everybody can see you, and you have the built-in leverage to try to get those extra yards. So I really like what I've seen out of Kalen Black, and I would love to see him in black and gold. He's one of my guys. Anything you want to add before we wrap up this mini show here, Nick?
Loved the idea of bringing in a guy to challenge Caleb Johnson because you never like a guy to be too comfortable. Gets that, iron sharpens iron and that mentality going. So thank you for listening. If you have a prospect that's your guy, drop your guy in the comments below and we'll go over it. But until then, this is Nick and James signing off.
Peace.